As the Taliban completed 5 years of its rule over Afghanistan on August 15th, the country faces devastating crises on multiple fronts. The United Nations and the human rights groups are describing what they call the world's worst women's rights crisis, one of the worst human rights crises, and one of the world's worst humanitarian crises. Some 22 million Afghans, or 45% of its total population, require humanitarian assistance, and nearly 12 million children, of whom 3.5 million under the age of 5, are suffering from acute malnutrition. MCR spoke to Mahbouba Seraj, the well-known Afghan women and children's rights advocate, to understand the situation firsthand. She spoke from Kabul. Welcome to my Chai Reports, Ms. Siraj. It's always a great pleasure to have you.
Thank you, Mr. Chaya. It's an absolute pleasure for me too. It's been quite a while since you and I we've talked.
Indeed. Speaking of that, we spoke just, I think, about a month before the Taliban rolled into Kabul 5 years ago. And here we are, 5 years hence. So I want to start with something that I read on the Human Rights Watch site. There is an Afghan researcher called Farishta Abbasi. And I'm quoting Abbasi when I say this. This is the exact quote. 5 years after the Taliban takeover, Afghanistan is experiencing the world's worst women's rights crisis, one of the worst human rights crises, and one of the worst humanitarian crises. You are in Kabul. You are right in the heart of this very issue. Give me your perspective of what you think is going on in the last 5 years.
Well, I mean, to tell you the honest truth, actually from the beginning and when everything started in 2021, I was also amongst the people that was, really, how shall I say, hopeful. Hopeful because not because of the Taliban 102 or 202 or whatever the world is calling it, but because of the way, because of the previous experience and because of the way Afghanistan was going and because of everything, the way it happened and all of that, and hoping that throughout this time there was a certain amount of learning that took place by the Taliban as well. I was hoping that, the situation will not become the way it did finally, especially for the women. That part of the game, I honestly, after their meeting in Doha and after all of the promises they made to the world, the Taliban, I thought we are going to be over that and things are not going to get this bad. And I am not amongst the people that believes, everything of ours has to be like the West and we are westernized and all of that. No, that's an absolute baloney. I don't need that. We don't need that, the women of Afghanistan. We are Muslims. We want to keep our way, our culture, our religion, everything is perfectly fine. Covering our faces is really has not killed us all of these years. It hasn't not going to kill us from here on either. But the only thing is that in all of this, we really need to have our education. We need to have our freedom to move around. We need to have our freedom to choose when we want to get married and who we want to marry. And we need to have our freedom for a lot of other things, like going to a park, sitting under the shade of a beautiful tree in the summertime with our family, going, to the doctor alone, the way we need to, or going with a sister of ours or our daughter or whoever. But all of this and the movement, being free and being able to, and also working. Because don't forget, Mr. Chaya, in Afghanistan is not a country that all the women have a husband and all of those husbands, they have a work and they have a job and they can bring money. That's not the case. Afghanistan has been at war for so long that there's a lot of them that have been killed. So these women are all widows. So the widows should have a right to look after their children and bring children that are Afghans and good for this society and healthy and well fed, not 3 million children dying from malnutrition. This is not right. This is not right. That means there is something very fundamentally and basic wrong. So that is what I'm saying. I've always said that. And in the beginning, it wasn't like that. We were not going through all of this. And then slowly And slowly and slowly, as the time went, things started to get from bad to worse. And then finally today, the women of Afghanistan, is true, they are in one of their worst situations in the world.
You mentioned, and we spoke about it 5 years ago, you were trying to be optimistic. You wanted to do an
That's right.
outreach to see if something can be done to moderate the Taliban influence.
That's right.
Over the last 5 years, why do you think your efforts didn't lead anywhere? Not just that, but it became worse, as you just pointed
No.
out.
Yeah, it just got worse. It really did. For the life of me, I don't know. Although I do know, because of there is a certain amount of differences between within the Taliban. A group thinks one way, another group thinks another way, and this by itself has created a lot of rift inside the Taliban, which is not outside. The world cannot see it really, but it is going on, and that is affecting their decision, is affecting the way they are looking at things, is affecting the way they are looking at the future of Afghanistan, the way they are looking at the women of Afghanistan, and the possibilities. So this is what's actually happening,
Right.
and because of that, we are paying, actually, really.
But in
The
your
women.
interactions with the men of Taliban, as it were,
Right, right.
do you sense any kind of understanding that keeping half of the country's population languishing on the margins is not good for the country? Do they even recognize that fact?
I have no idea what happened. I don't know whose influence this is, honestly, because the way I look at it, and I've talked about it, and I've talked about it before also. Now
Right.
I am doing it, but even before I've talked about it. This must be somebody that is such an enemy of the people of Afghanistan for making decisions like this. You don't make decisions like this to a people that you have respect and you love them and you care for them and you want to see them, with a future that is clear, and it is prosperous, and is good for them. These are the things that enemies of people make these decisions. And I'm absolutely, how should I say, I'm completely flabbergasted, as
Right.
the Americans say it, because I don't know. I really don't know why. How is it like this? Why is it like this? Why it should be like this? I don't know, but it is. That's the saddest part, is that it is. A lot of the people right now, they're considering me, like, there's a lot of, after my announcement was announced, and everybody really found out about it, and there's a lot of nasty remarks and comments that are happening from everywhere about me. And of course, they're doing this without really knowing who am I, what I was saying, what I am saying. I have never, when they were talking about apartheid, what I said, I remember, I said Afghanistan is going through something that's a lot worse than apartheid, if there is such a thing, and I do remember saying that.
Right.
But they're saying that, I'm completely against. I'm not. What is going through is really a lot worse than apartheid. And at the same time, where apartheid was actually implemented in South Africa, wasn't really. It never happened the way it was supposed to. It started it, but it didn't work all the way through. It just turned out to be something entirely different. The world really doesn't know. And my fear is that whatever happens, you know, you know, using a name and making it something that the world right now finds it very ha ha ha, is going to kill the rest of my people. It's going to be very bad for the rest of the Afghans in Afghanistan. That is something I don't want, because it's not only the women in this country, there are men, women, old, young, of men and women and everybody. So it's like bringing a situation into this country because everybody says haha and is very much a la mode. We are going to do that. At the same time, the people of my country has to pay. No, we have to find out more about it to know exactly what it is, how it is done, what is going to do for the future of this country, what is going to do to the other individuals of this land, to the men and women that who are living here. But nobody
Right.
thinks about this. Really, they don't. And when I think about it, I'm being guilty. It's like, come on, guys.
Yeah. Have you
Really.
faced any retaliation from the government because of your outspoken views?
Well, I hope that they don't, go against me. Really, and they let me. I worked and I lived and I did everything in this country for all of these years with a lot of love and a lot of respect. And today that I want to leave, and although I have decided that I'll be talking about everything, and I have talked about everything and very openly now, but I am not disrespectful to what the Taliban are and who the Taliban are. I'm not disrespectful for what they are doing, which are the positive things that they have done for this country. I'm not. But at the same time, as a Muslim woman, is my job. And if I start saying that things are going absolutely right for the women of Afghanistan, that means I'm lying. And when I'm lying, I'm going to be responsible to Allah and to all of the women in this country that I'm lying something that is not right. So I hope that they understand that, because that's where my whole problem is. Especially after they closed my shelter. Mr. Chaya, they closed my shelter on the 10th of December 2025. I think you and I, we talked about that actually. On the 10th of December 2025, they closed my shelter. No, we didn't talk. No. They closed my shelter. They took 33 women and children, old and young, from my shelter. It's not that they took them and put them in a prison or something. They took them and put them in a place which is for the. It was a place for the. It was an orphanage. The building. So they put all of the women in there with their children and everybody. They kept the children separate from their mothers and all of that. That's perfectly fine. But because the girls, when they were with me, also they were not free to walk all around, because I was protecting them from their families. These girls had run away from families that they were ready to kill every single one of them.
Right.
So yeah, that's why it has to be strict on them, and it was. But after that, no matter what I did, no matter how much I asked, no matter how many times I demanded to talk to me, let's talk about this. This is the future of these women in Afghanistan. These are the abused women of this country. They are hurt. I've been with them. They call me mother, and they see me as their mother. Give me a chance to be with them. Let's talk. What are you going to do with them? Are you going to look after them forever? Is that the name of the game here? Or we could have sat down and talked about it and maybe find a way. But
Right.
nobody does that. It's like these are the things, I cannot be banging my head continuously against the stone wall, because this is logic, for God's sakes. And when there's no logic, what am I supposed to do? I'm 78 years old, and I cannot be fighting every single day. I really cannot. It's beyond me. It's absolutely above and beyond me. And I love this land. I love the women, the children, the men, everybody. I'm an Afghan, for God's sakes. And through and through. I'm not somebody that has just come from somewhere. I am one of those people that actually made this country, for the good or for the bad or whatever it is. It is mine, and I am Afghanistan's.
Right.
So, it's like that's
As you mentioned your age, you leaving at this age a country that you so love. What kind of feelings are you leaving with?
broken. Afghanistan broke me, though. It really did. My heart is broken. My soul is so sad. Because you see, the little house that I rented, the dumping in it, I loved it. And the one or two, three girls and women that I know that have been a source of help or hope or whatever it is around for them, I'm going to be leaving them. My dog, that I love him so much, and he's a street dog of Kabul, and I saved him, and now I can't have him with me. I can't have my friends with me, the boys that have been to me, the young men that are working for me. I'm their mother too, they call me mother, they respect me, they love me. I know that. So we've lived many years together. Actually, with my driver, that right now is also one of my is the guard of the house that I'm looking. He's looking after me. I'm looking after him. I've been with him for the past 18 years.
Right.
18 years is a long time. It's a long time. So I don't know. This is very sad for me. It really is. It's not easy. It's really not easy. And especially coming to the States now.
Right.
So, but
I was
it is-
reading I was reading some figures of economic hardship,
Yeah,
and these are quite striking. These figures suggest that about 22 million people, which is about 45% of Afghanistan's population, will require humanitarian assistance in
that's right.
2026.
That's right.
About
That's right.
12 million children and about 3.5 under 5 are already suffering from acute
That's right.
malnutrition.
That's right.
Now,
That's right.
these are absolutely astounding figures. Tell me, even a government like the Taliban would recognize that this is not good for Afghanistan, no matter what their ideological persuasion is. Are they sensitive to this at all, or they are not?
I don't know. I think something has started because I do remember hearing from Mullah Brodar at one point about a few days ago that he said that they have to involve the private sector in order for them to start, helping Afghanistan's economy because it's not going to work like this. So I don't know. I'm sure there are people in here that they have absolutely they know and they realize it. Um, I know a lady that was in the Ministry of Finance and was working with everybody, and she was a fantastic person, and she really gave some amazing, you know, amazing, how shall I say, um, advice to the government regarding economy. And they really loved her, respected her, and they gave a huge party for her departure. And there were men and women, all of Taliban, and some. So then the woman that actually did the work for them, and they really appreciated her. So in other words, that means that they do see all of this. That is actually happening, and they're seeing it. But why it's not put in practice? That's the part that is actually killing all of us,
I
because
see.
how much longer are we going to wait for everything to absolutely crash, and then or we can do something about it? I don't know. I don't know.
I was watching an interview with Hamid Karzai, who has chosen to remain in Kabul. He's in some
Yeah.
sort of house arrest. What is your view of a figure like that? Because there are such conflicting views of the man, from complete rejection of him as a human being to, I don't know, reverence.
Well,
Where do you
yeah,
stand on him?
I know there's a lot of people like that. That's true. I mean, we are in Afghanistan, we are living in a society that there is no we have a saying that there is no good living man, and there is no bad dead man. So we are that's our culture. That's everybody, may Allah forgive that person, because very very nice, very good man, and actually in his life he has done all the atrocities in the world, and while he's alive and he's doing something, and he's the worst person. uh, Everybody has their weaknesses, everybody has their strength, everybody is a human being. I don't know why we expect somebody to be 100%. There is no such a thing. But in Karzai, personally, to tell you the honest truth, I did not dislike Karzai at all, always when he was, because one of the things that Karzai has, and I appreciate it, he always has a very nice way of greeting people of Afghanistan in a very nice way. And he shows his concern, and he was greeting them very well. And I mean, everything that he was doing, he did have a very nasty group of people around him, as all of them, but he was not as nasty as Ghani. The amount of how shall I say, anger and dislike that I have towards that man is too much.
Yeah,
It's in
but
my
do
heart.
you think Karzai can still be a figure of any consequence given the Taliban stranglehold?
You know, I don't know. He could be. I have a
Yeah.
I have a feeling it can be. Why not?
As you leave Afghanistan, what do you see in its future? Because the Taliban, of course, remains in complete control so far. Do you see any hope at all as you leave?
Well, if they continue going like this, unfortunately, I can't see not in the near future. But I am hopeful. I have hope, because I'm a Muslim and I should have hope. I cannot give up hope. That's guna. But at the same time, I'm praying for them, so that they will find their way. And and somebody will guide everybody to go the right way for Islam's sake, for Afghanistan's sake, for the women of Afghanistan, and for humanity. Because the way the world is today, Mr. Chaya, is this world has become so mean and nasty,
Right.
so wrong in many ways that it makes me
Absolutely.
wonder.
No, I agree with you.